thanks for watching. So this video is going to be a Wedding Wednesday video. I haven't done one in a while just because we've kind of not progressed as much. Like, we do have a lot of time, but there hasn't been really much to talk about, except that aside from getting the venue, we have now contractually a photographer. So that's very exciting because the two main things that were really, well, aside from the venue, but the other two main things that were really like starting to stress me out were the photographer and the catering. Catering is a whole nother video that I will do because that is a big thing in and of itself. So the photographer, let me tell you guys the journey we've had into finding our photographer. So I was looking online, and you know, people were saying like, you know, photography is an investment, like you're gonna definitely have these pictures for life. You want to make sure that you get the best person, and that's not gonna be somebody, you know, that's like $200 or $500. It's gonna be somebody that's like $1,000 or more, like thousands of dollars pretty much. So I was mentally preparing myself. I was like, okay, you know what, it is true, like we do want these pictures to be taken professionally. We want it to be, you know, we want them to look great. We want them to capture the moment, capture the day, and we also want to make sure like this person knows what they're doing. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know, it is an investment at the end of the day, so we're gonna have to spend some money on it. So we went to two different places. I'm trying to think if we went to any other places. We went to two different places before we got the photographer we have now. So the first place, I emailed like everyone, like anybody who I had a website where I can see their photographs and they're in New York City. I emailed, like, that's it. I was just like, how much, like, what are your rates, da da da, whatever. And some people got back to me and they're like, oh, you know, we charge this amount, this is what you get, blah blah blah. So there were some people that I was like, okay, you know what, some people were really inexpensive and some people were obviously more expensive. There was this one lady whose photographs were amazing, like perfect. Loved all of them. All of them were awesome. Forgot her name now. But I emailed her because on her website she said that she's New York City based and she didn't have any prices anywhere. So I emailed her and I was like, hey, I'm really, you know, I really love all your photographs. Me and my fiance are interested in like possibly meeting up with you and speaking about, you know, possibly you being our photographer for the wedding. And she wrote me back. She's like, great, I just want to let you know, like, and I also said like, is there any way you can let us know your rates now? So she emailed me back. She's like, hi, yeah, thank you, whatever. She's like, yeah, these are my rates, but by the way, I'm now in LA, so if you want to book me, you'll have to pay for the traveling arrangements. And I was just like, whoa, like that's not what it said in your website anywhere. Like, you should really update that. And second of all, her rates were just ridiculous, like definitely not for our type of budget, but her pictures were lovely. So one thing you need to know is if you're interested in somebody, definitely reach out to them, because sometimes if they're really busy, they don't have time to like sit there and update their portfolio, like their website. So some of the information might be incorrect. Like that lady, her pictures were so freaking awesome and I was so excited that she was based in New York City, but it ended up being that she had moved to LA recently or whatever. I don't even remember what she said, but she didn't update it, so I was misinformed pretty much. So anyways, we went to go see this one photographer. It's like a studio or whatever. So we went to go see them because some of the pictures online were really good, and like they kept emailing me, and I was like, you know what, let's go. So we went and we were looking at the pictures, and some of the pictures were blurry, and I was just like, okay, like whatever. So we were talking to the guy and everything looked good. He gave us a rate. It was a lot. And we were just like, okay, like we do get two photographers because we were interested in getting two photographers. So we're like, okay, we do get two photographers. They're there for pretty much the whole thing, from like getting us when we're getting ready until pretty much the end of the reception. So they'll be able to get everything, the ceremony, like us getting ready, the ceremony and the reception. So we were like, okay, like let's think about it. Then they emailed me and they were like, oh, the rate we gave you is only good for a week, like you have to book us like now, because after that the rates go up. And that like really threw me off, because I was like, if you want me to book you, then don't give me a deadline. Like, you know, I understand that if somebody else like books you for the time we've booked you, like our wedding is November 4th, so if somebody else comes to you and they're like, hey, our wedding is November 4th, we're really interested in booking you, then that's a different story. But don't like give us an ultimatum like, hey, either you book us now and it's this amount, or you're gonna book us later and it's this amount. Like, no, I don't like that. So we didn't go with them, obviously. We were just looking, like it didn't necessarily mean we had the money available for a deposit like right in that instinct. We were just looking, wanted to like speak to people, see how they were, see how, you know, what their mind frame was to take pictures, because you want to make sure that your photographer is taking the shots that you like and that their style goes with your style. Like if you don't want all posy pictures, but the person whose portfolio you're looking at is only posy pictures, then you're not going to be happy with this person. So we went to a photographer whose studio is right by where we live, and we were like, you know what, I went in and I was like, let's just see like what he's about, whatever, because he's literally right up the block from us. So we were like, okay, fine. So we went there, and he was kind of ridiculous. First of all, the setting was really unprofessional. The guy, like, so you go in and there's like the counter or whatever, like it's like a register. Like if it were a shop, it would be a register, but it's not, obviously. So it's like something like a register type of thing, like a counter. Then on this side, it's the desk, there's an Apple computer and a desk and 2 chairs where you sit, and then a chair for the guy to sit, and then behind you there's a couch. It's very small space, and then by the desk that the guy sits at, there's a TV, so he can like show you the photos or whatever. So we come in and nobody greets us, nobody says like, hey, how are you, nothing. So we just go in, and I'm like, hey, I'm here to meet with so and so, and they're like, okay, just grab a seat. He was with 2 people at the moment, but there were like 3 people behind that little counter space. Nobody said hi. So we're like, okay, great. There was like a person there with a baby who was like crying throughout the whole thing, crying. I don't have anything against babies, but when you're trying to conduct business, you really don't want to have a crying, shrieking baby behind you for an hour. But that's another thing. So he finished up with those people, and then he came up to us and he's like, hey, how are you? Like, come sit down. So we go sit down. So he was telling us about, he does cinematography and photography. We have decided to go against cinematography only because it's an added expense, and if anything, we're gonna ask people to take videos on their phones and then just send it to us and we can compile something. So we were there, and he was showing us the 2 different styles of, you know, like of the videos that he can take, like dramatic or what is it called, cinematography, or like, I forgot. Anyways, that's how like I was just not having it that day. Like it just didn't feel right, you know. There were people, so the people behind us with the shrieking baby were like family members of this guy, and I was just like, okay. And I kept looking behind me. I was just like hello, can you do something about the situation? I could barely hear you over the shrieking baby. Nothing was done ever. Halfway through, some guy comes up and like they like, you know, give each other a handshake and whatever, and they're like talking or whatever, and he's like, oh, yeah, sorry about that, it's just that I lost like 80 pounds, this is the first time that he's seen me, so he doesn't recognize me or whatever. And I'm like, okay, but we're in the middle of a business presentation, like this is business here. It's not like, oh, hey, come meet my family and we're just all gonna hang out, you know. Like if I'm giving you money, I expect it to be professional. So that was a number one like knock against him. I was like, this is so unprofessional. I don't want you to be my photographer. Second of all, he was showing us all the photographs, and they were 90% of them were blurry. So after coming from that other guy whose pictures were also blurry, like some of them I was like, is this how it is? Like maybe it's the way that they're printed. Like I was just trying to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, because this is the second photographer whose pictures were blurry. So I was like, maybe it's like in the way that it translates. But then I'm like, I don't want blurry wedding photos either. So I was just looking at them and I was like, like these are blurry, like why are you showing me blurry pictures? So whatever. So then he's showing us the videos, and the videos are long. They're like 24 minutes long, and he's just there like watching it too, like enjoying his work. And we're like okay, like how long is this gonna take? Because nobody's told us it was gonna be like a 4-hour type of thing. We're there for like about an hour, and that was about an hour too long for us. So we were just like, okay, cool. And then he finishes one, like I guess he saw that we were getting antsy, and he was like, oh, it's just, let me just speed it up or whatever. And we're like, yeah, thanks. And then the next style, he was like, it was like a 20-minute video or something like that. He's like, oh, do you want to see this one or whatever? We're like, no, it's okay, like we got it. The price also was ridiculous. First of all, you have an unprofessional setting. Second of all, you have blurry photos, so you don't know what you're doing. Third of all, you're making us sit through like 20-minute videos when you can just cut to the chase and tell us, like, you know, like have it ready, have like a 2-minute like example to show us. We don't need to sit there for somebody's whole wedding that you shot. We just need to know the type of videos. We don't need to sit there and see all the weddings you shot from beginning to end. We don't need that. So he needs to be more professional. But lastly, the price he gave us was absurd. It was $10,000. and for a photographer and a videographer. And I was just like, $10,000, like that is extreme. Like I understand this is an investment, but that's like a down payment on something. I kept like looking online because we do need a photographer to capture moments at our wedding, and I kept going back to this one guy. His portfolio online was awesome. He fits the mold into what we want. We want to have those posing pictures, you know, with family, with friends, with whoever. Like, you know, you're gonna have those posed pictures. You have to, it's like anything, like you just have to have those posed pictures. But he also had a lot of like really natural pictures, like, you know, the couple just walking or like people talking or whatever, and it just looked really nice. Like he really knew how to, or knows how to capture a moment. So I looked at his portfolio online, loved it. I showed it to my fiance and he was like, you know what, let's meet with him. So we met with him. We actually ended up booking him. So he was very charismatic in person. He was like straight down to business. He has a small office, but there's no interruptions. There's nobody coming in, you know, no crying baby, no anything. It was in a building, a really like nice professional building, and it just looked nice. He had all the information there ready for us. He even had like bottles of water for us. Like he was just awesome. And we left there feeling good about ourselves, knowing, oh, and then he showed us albums, no blurry photos, not one. So I was like, you know what, it is possible to not have blurry photos when you're showing it to somebody. So me and my fiance spoke about it. I talked about it. Pretty much after that, we already kind of knew like we wanted to book him, because he was just, everything about him, his personality, his photos, like his dedication, professionalism, we wanted that. So that's who we booked, and we were feeling very excited about it. And he also just emailed us the day after, and he was like, hey, it was really nice meeting you guys. Like, if you book me or not, just let me know, keep in touch, like things like that. You know, you want to hear. You don't want somebody forcing something down your throat, especially blurry photos. Make sure that you are meeting with these people. Don't go by like hearsay, don't go by anything. You want to make sure you are in person, talking to them, looking at their portfolio. Make sure you are viewing their portfolio online. Read the reviews people leave them, because a lot of people are very blunt and honest. Because if you're paying a lot of money for these things and they're capturing your day, your special day, you're gonna leave an honest review of how that person is, or they were, or whatever, how they captured the moment. So read reviews, go on their website, look at their portfolio, meet with them in person, look at their portfolio in person, talk about everything you need, because sometimes they have packages where it's like, oh, you know, you get X, Y, and Z, but you only want X, you don't need Y and Z. Like sometimes they can cut it down for you. The most important thing I've found throughout this whole thing is that you have to be present. You have to be there talking to people, making connections with people, because a wedding is all it really is in reality, is just a really big party. But at the same time, it forces you to step out of your skin if you're not a people person, because you have to negotiate with people, you have to meet with a lot of different people, you have to like kind of put yourself out there, sell yourself, and see how they're selling themselves and what they have to offer you. So yeah, a lot of people will make it seem like you need this, you need that, you have to have that. You're having a wedding without that? Psh, your wedding is gonna suck. Like, no, your wedding is your own. So definitely just know what you want and go in there with a mindset of, I only want this. Don't let anyone change your mind. So with that, I am going to wrap up this Wedding Wednesday video, because it turned into like a rant at the end. I don't know what that was about, and my camera's about to die. So I want to just say thank you so much for watching this video, watching any of my videos. If you like them, please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button somewhere down here now, somewhere around here. And I have all my links down below. I'm working on my blog, so I do have posts up there if you want to take a look. I'm also actively working on it, so you will see more posts. And I am very active on like Twitter and Instagram. If you want to follow me there, the links will be down there below as well. And that is all. I will see you guys in the next installment of Wedding Wednesday. It should be next Wednesday, because I do have a lot to talk about with I'm not gonna say anything else. I just have a lot to talk about. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.